what's happened in the movie industry, and there's a whole bunch of us that know a lot more about the movie industry than we did probably 6 months ago, is that multi-screen theaters are the norm. Again, that does not mean that it has to be a megaplex. It just means there needs to be multiple screens. There's a market study that was done that 81% of the movie screens are located at venues with 8 or more structures. What's happening around the country is theaters that are 1 cinema screen or 2 cinema screens are expanding to 4, then 6, then 8. They're just dividing up their space into smaller and smaller spaces so they can allow the flexibility. Another reason for this is that people have choices today. And just like when you turn on your TV, when I was young, we had 3 channels. Actually, I think when I was really young, we had 1 channel. But there were 3 channels. TV, cable, VCRs, Netflix, all those sorts of things. Many people thought it would run the theaters out of business. It hasn't really done that. It's just changed it. And it's changed it in a way that movie theaters that survive need to provide the options that people are looking for, just like we look for more options on our TVs today. The industry economics is pretty interesting. The people that sell movies to theaters, and particularly first-run movies, do that in a, I would say, almost a ruthless manner, in that they tell the movie owner, operator, that they must take this first-run movie and show it a certain number of times with a certain number of seats, or they may not have the movie. So if all of you wanted to see Jobs, that just came out recently, and perhaps you also wanted to see The Butler, a movie theater that doesn't have enough venues inside of it will not be able to work with getting those 2 movies. And that is important in Southbury because I live in this town, and I would also hope that we would be able to have arts films, some independent movies, work with the Film Commission to bring in Connecticut movies, lectures, simulcast opera. To do that, we need to be able to commit some of these theaters to the first-run movie and show it a certain number of times, but we also will then have enough venue there to provide the diversity of the other sorts of offerings. So multiple screens means first-run movies can run the same days as art, independent films, opera simulcasts. Also, it means that the owner, if it's a very popular movie, he can have each one of these theaters start at different times, so all the traffic doesn't come at the same time, and offer more seats, but at different times, all at various times. So it provides fabulous flexibility to make it a more prosperous and a better run theater. So we sort of talked about that 1 and 2 screen cinemas are so far are pretty much a thing of the past. There's a few of them in Connecticut. Just in Connecticut, of 392 theaters that existed at one time, 305 have closed. Of those, 257 were 1 screen theaters. There are a few around. Most of the ones that are left either are subsidized, or some of them are just a arts theater, or just a foreign film theater, or just an independent film theater. So they have a very dedicated type of an audience, but they don't provide the kind of variety that would be important for a town like this one that has people of all ages interested. The movie industry is moving towards 8 or more screens because the business model requires it, and the 2-screen formula will put a new cinema at a disadvantage with distributors. If there were a 2-screen theater for Southbury, if that were what we had to do, probably no one would come in and try to provide this kind of option or entertainment option for this community, which includes the ability to support the Playhouse. The Flums have a lot of experience. They understand how to get first-run movies. They have excellent buyers that they contract with in order to accomplish this. They understand the concept of how to schedule in order to get the flexibility and diversity that works. And I should also say that not only are they not interested in building a megaplex and won't be building a megaplex, but they care about designing a theater that's attractive for the community. Because what complements the community and people like and people use is also very good business for them. And this might be of interest to some of you that can remember that at one time there was a Southbury Playhouse, a historic Southbury Playhouse in this community. The owner has been talking to the Main Street Theater Company, the Community Arts Collaborative, and we are very excited about this. They are very interested in coming and working with us to utilize the Playhouse portion of this complex, and will be called the Playhouse, which they will become their place for community theater. And we'd also be able to provide rehearsal space, places for props, so we will be able to provide a full service facility for that group to be able to put on productions in Connecticut, in Southbury, Connecticut. The other interesting part is they run a wonderful summer camp, and they could do that also on this premises. It works really well with the cinema schedule, because the cinema schedule can use that same facility for cinema when it's not being used by the theater, so it still is productive, but also helps again to be the engine that makes the whole enterprise work. And I have a quote here because we couldn't resist, that a community theater enriches the lives of those who take an active part in it, as well as those in the community who benefit from live theater productions. On either side of the footlights, those involved represent the diversity of age, culture, life experience, a strong appreciation of the importance of the arts. And I can say from living in this community for about 30 years, there is a fabulous community here that cares about the arts. So the community, it would basically be a community cultural arts center. There'd be a cinema, a playhouse. Local talent could entertain, and we even, Bob LaFon's idea is that some of these young entertainers could try out their skills in front of a cinema. So instead of just being there for a theater production, they could come and do a 4 or 5 minute a song, a dance, whatever their talent would be before the cinema in a sort of almost an old vaudeville style. But it could be great fun, and it's something that they would really like to think about doing. The cinema and the playhouse will provide a venue for display of local artists. So it's another, we know the library does this, and it's another place that local artists can display art. We've talked about that it's zoned, that this property is zoned for 2-screen theater on cinema use. The PDD application puts, in some ways, the developer at risk. He could come in with a 2-screen cinema. I think you've just heard why it doesn't work, but he could come in with that under the zoning plan if it's permitted. But instead to come in and show outstanding design merit for an equality and character that fits on Main Street, puts the application before the zoning commission in a much more discretionary type of an approval. So the zoning commission has a right to look at the architecture, comment on the architecture, deny it if they don't like the architecture, which doesn't happen typically with just a special permit application that would come in for the 2-screen theater. We've talked about the size because people have such an impossible assumption that they've made about this. The 2-screen cinema could be 12 or 1,300 seats. You could divide those up, and the size would be more like Staples in Southbury, but the proposed exterior architectural form won't be a block, a square as Staples. Hugh will talk about this more, but it won't be the height of Staples. The building's massing will be leaner, and it'll be less boxy, but the square feet is pretty similar to Staples. So if you drive over there, take a look at it. It's not the megaplex. It's maybe the third the size of the kinds of theaters that some people have been trying to compare this to. Okay, so in summary, we basically have some mini theaters with multidimensional uses, first-run independent and art films, live theater, musical performances, lectures, conferences, simulcast offering and other kinds of simulcasts. And I thought some of you may know this, but theaters today can also offer an unbelievable, fabulous opportunity for community groups to come in and use that facility. And this facility, as she will describe it, I think will be a beautiful facility to accomplish that. So there will be opportunities for the community to use this. And this is not mine, but the Historic Theater Rescue, Restoration, Rehabilitation. Our use manual says that communities with an active culture are considered healthier economically. The community involvement, the owners will have a cooperative venture with the Main Street Theater that we talked about that we're exploring, and we think there's some, we've made some real progress. Charity campaigns in the lobby, they did a bone marrow donor campaign. Kevin's here. If Kevin, you want to say a couple of words about that?
Well, we did the bone marrow donor campaign.
This is Kevin LeBlanc.
Hi, everybody. So yeah, we did a lot of charity events. Most recently, we did Colin's Crew, and Colin's Crew was a little boy who had cancer, and we brought in Yale New Haven Hospital and all the kids from Yale New Haven Hospital in the cancer ward, and they came in earlier and cleaned all the seats out and brought the kids in, and John Ratzenberger from Cheers came in, and he does all the voices for Pixar as well. So we did Monsters Incorporated, and he came up before the show and did all the voices of the characters, and then we had a contest for best dress and all kinds of stuff like that. Then we also do the Chain Fund, which it pays bills for cancer patients who can't pay like regular bills as far as like light bills and heating and whatnot. They do breakfast and a movie, and they do it usually 3 times a year. I'm trying to think what else we did recent. Autism Research Center comes in, and we have to lower the volume for them just so that they feel comfortable, and they come in on Saturday mornings and watch movies as well. They usually do that, I think, 4 to 5 times a year, which is nice. We donate popcorn to all of the local parks and recs and local schools. We did a lock-in for the Girl Scouts, so the Girl Scouts were there all night, and we thought we were going to do 2 movies, and they ended up watching 3. We were shocked because they made it through the entire night. So, but yeah, we do a lot of charity events. You know, we love doing it. It's something that's dear to our heart. You know.